I'm Laura Ingraham. This is the Ingraham Angle on a breaking news night. Tonight, America is seeing the ultimate in election interference as 4 unelected state judges, all appointed by Democrat governors, have ruled that Donald Trump must be kept off next year's presidential ballot. The Colorado Supreme Court, in a 4-3 decision, wrote that we conclude that because President Trump is disqualified from holding the office of president under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, it would be a wrongful act under the Election Code for the Secretary to list Trump as a candidate on the presidential primary ballot. Therefore, the Secretary may not list President Trump's name on the 2024 presidential primary ballot, nor may she count any write-in votes cast for him. Now, the suit focused on that Section 3 of the 14th Amendment that was aimed at barring Confederates from federal office who engaged in insurrectionist behavior or rebellion. Now, remember, the case was spearheaded by a left-wing group called Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. That's great. Now, the Trump legal team will need to move fast and appeal this to the Supreme Court of the United States. The decision of the Colorado Supreme Court is stayed or delayed until January 4th, which is a key deadline in being able to qualify for the ballot. Here to react, Jonathan Turley, Fox News contributor and law professor at GW University. Jonathan, to think that 4 unelected state court judges could conceivably end up determining the presidential election is something I think most Americans are just shaking their head tonight, saying this can't be the United States.
No, it is a strikingly anti-democratic holding, in my view. The court literally faced a series of interpretive barriers to get to where it ended up. It adopted the most sweeping, broadest possible interpretation to get over every one of those hurdles. So throughout this opinion, it had to adopt interpretations that could encompass a wide array of statements. You know, they used what's called true threat precedent to show that you can view what Trump said as encouraging an insurrection by looking at stuff that he said at other times. And that, of course, allowed them to reach this conclusion. In my view, the court is dead wrong. This is the first major win for these challengers. They've gone to a number of blue states. This is one of the bluest state Supreme Courts you can get to. Even with that, it's split. I think the opinion is really chilling, and I think that the Supreme Court will make fast work of this theory. I hope it does. But I think this court, did great damage to its own integrity with this opinion.
And there have been other rulings in other state Supreme Courts, correct? Or federal courts that have come to the opposite conclusion here. So this is an outlier, which, again, because of what's at stake, it's going to have to be expedited to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, when you read this opinion, the one thing that keeps on recurring in your mind is, where's the limiting principle here? What would not satisfy this test? At each one of these barriers, the court could have adopted a fairly moderate or more narrow approach, but it didn't. And so on every one of these issues, it really took out all the fail-safes and went to the broadest possible meaning. Well, that means that states could engage in a tit-for-tat type of series of decisions. You know, you could have red states blocking Biden on some ballots and blue states blocking Trump. And the way this is viewed by the public is really quite horrific. You know, they view President Biden on the ropes, and the ref just called the match.
Well, just so everyone understands this tonight, essentially, the state Supreme Court of Colorado concluded that the former president is guilty of a federal crime that he's never been charged with, which is insurrection or rebellion, for which he could have been impeached as president, but he has not been charged with that. That's never been adjudicated. So with that, could Republicans, to your point, say, well, by undermining U.S. sovereignty, by leaving the border open, President Biden is trying to undermine the U.S. Constitution. It's tantamount to an insurrection. It's a broad view. But he's going to have to be taken off the ballot of, name your red state.
Well, this court just handed partisans on both sides the ultimate tool to try to shortcut elections. And it's very, very dangerous. I mean, this country is a powder keg, and this court is just throwing matches at it. And I think that it's a real mistake, but I think that they're wrong on the law. January 6th was many things, most of it not good. In my view, it was not an insurrection. It was a riot. That doesn't mean that the people responsible for that day shouldn't be held accountable. But to call this an insurrection for the purposes of disqualification would create a slippery slope for every state in the union. This is a time when we actually need democracy. We need to allow the voters to vote. We need to hear their decision. And the court here just said, you're not going to get that. In Colorado, we're not going to let you vote for Donald Trump.
No.
And, you could dislike Trump. You could believe he's responsible for January 6th, but this isn't the way to do it. I mean, it is, for the people that say they're trying to protect democracy, this is hands down the most anti-democratic opinion I've seen in my lifetime.
And it's worth noting that 3 of the judges in dissent were also Democrat appointees. The whole court's appointed by Democrat governors. So it was right down the middle, 4-3 decision. Again, the country hangs in the balance. The court's going to have to decide this. Jonathan, thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.